Yesterday, I announced that I won't be creating any more content, and here I am. But no, this is literally a last hurrah, really. I'm going to share the chapter that I mentioned in the video. So if anyone's seen it, it's called Taking Time Out, Watch for a Deep Transformative Experience. That's the name of the video, where I mentioned the fact that, I am going to be taking the time away to finish my upcoming book or potential multiple books. And so that means I'm just not going to be creating content in this form. I will still be doing my gaming videos and things, just relaxing and sharing those sort of content. But the serious stuff, no. But I'm listening to some inspiring music, stuff that just sears into my soul. Like I just consider beautiful, and I just thought, you know what, this is people sharing their art of the world, and I sometimes I lack patience. So I thought, you know what, I'll share this chapter. So people want to hear it, it's here. I'm not sharing any more from the book, so I'll share this chapter. I love it. Whether other people love it is maybe be another completely different thing. I don't know. And again, it hasn't been finalised. It's likely I'll add more layers to this. I don't know. So it depends how the book goes, and then whether I want to add to it or not. Yeah, decide that later. So anyway, it's the one where I mentioned that video. I just literally sat there and just worked on this chapter and just wrote it fresh. It was nice. Yeah. Anyway, without further ado. It may seem inspiring and something to potentially envy. Perhaps, oh wait a minute, let me start this again, 'cause I'm going to be getting tongue-tied. I've only read this chapter once after I wrote it, so after I wrote and edited it. It may seem inspiring and something to potentially envy, but someone having a skill that perhaps few possessed isn't for the faint of heart. After all, anyone living a double life would at times succumb to the stress of feeling fatigued, unfulfilled, and carry the burden of their wasted potential. My mood fluctuates between excitement and intrigue as I begin new projects, complete others, evolve, learn, mature, and improve. However, there are also incredibly low periods when I feel lost, frustrated, hopeless, and demotivated. Investing in ourselves comes with sacrifice, frustration, and at times failures. But those are learning experiences which challenge us to remain motivated and determined to finish what's started. I can't begin to explain the pain I felt pushing myself to return to this manuscript to finish it, because I had worked diligently and so hard for years without reward or recognition. It felt like everything I did was nothing more than self-indulgence. And although I considered the potential for success limitless, the reality was far less glamorous. So throughout 2025, I kept delaying work on this book, distracting myself with less demanding activities. But for all the distractions, an underlying feeling of needing to complete what I started nagged at me until I ultimately returned to finish. Because this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have felt so compelled to keep at it. And that's the urge and feeling we need to follow, the nudge to work towards fulfilling our potential. Throughout my journey to improve, life rarely did. If anything, stresses and frustrations amplified, and this tested my resolve and perhaps more importantly, my reasons for doing what I do. If it were primarily for money, the glitz and glamour, then clearly that wasn't being found in the pursuit of sharing knowledge and experiences. However, my dreams are far bigger than money. I desire to contribute something meaningful to the world. So, regardless of perceived success or lack thereof, I was succeeding, and while things may not happen in the time frames we would like, anything is possible. So, regardless of whether anyone's aware of anything I do or I did, I know, and I am immensely proud of not only trying to make a difference in this world, but also healing and growing myself to become better than previous versions, and in all likelihood continue to improve throughout life. Striving for success doesn't mean it happens how we expect, and more than likely, on the road of discovery, detours will occur for good and bad, which test and sculpt our character. Balancing two lives, the old version and a newly inspired and motivated one, is more complicated than it looks. What people don't tend to see is all the emotions and pressure that come with trying to merge the two. It becomes an impossible balancing act. which the world doesn't exactly cater to. So, for periods between creation and a potential breakthrough are humbling experiences, which test our commitment and desire, because we lose to gain. How much are we prepared to lose for a breakthrough? It's not an easy question to answer because hypotheticals are rarely considered from a reality based perspective, but instead derived from fantasy. When there's no real loss in pretending, everyone can seem heroic. But truly losing much of the foundation built before changing directions is a real sacrifice that few would feel comfortable losing. After all, much of what we have much of what we have took hard work, time, and potentially involved collaborations and relationships. In essence, to lose part of the life we built feels like such a waste of time and sacrifice. Still, for each elevation, a step is needed before and after. So, what's perceived to be an unjust loss and maybe something to hold on to is, in fact, the step required to venture onto the next chapter. But again, that doesn't mean it's a comfortable change or even fair, but it's necessary. The real test comes when we are actively losing the life we built, including depleting our finances into poverty. Pressure then comes from all directions, forcing us to reflect and even consider returning to familiarity and regaining stability. Potential success isn't guaranteed, so of course there are risks with striving to improve. But the reality is that once embodying potential and recognizing skills and the life deserved, it's nigh on impossible to return to mediocrity and stagnation. So, if that means losing everything to invest in ourselves, then that's the path to freedom, because freedom is everything, not just financial, but more significantly, freedom of mind. Feeling trapped in a role we weren't meant for, especially for most of our lives, affects our mental health. In my opinion, more than the pressures that come with the losses of starting a new life. Finances often suffer when we instigate substantial or quick change. But that can improve with time. When we align with our passions, we liberate ourselves to feel happy and fulfilled, which was impossible before in the trapped, preconditioned life forced upon or expected of us. It may seem obvious by now that I freed myself from the life experienced previously, but the balance between potential and practicality comes with more pressure than is fair. The world doesn't cater to our change, so it's for us to find a way to balance the two until a breakthrough occurs. And if it doesn't, because nothing's ever guaranteed, at least we sought to be our purest selves. And that's something we should always advocate and inspire to do. Whilst writing this book, my finances were poor and my potential for success high. But potential doesn't pay the bills or fill material needs. For all the suffering, it never derailed me from continuing to pursue my dreams and encourage others to invest in themselves. Whilst I wasn't perhaps living the dream, I was actively building towards it. So, whilst frustrated and demotivated at times, deeply, I understand change takes time. Going without things, whilst others seem to have what we want, isn't a nice feeling. But we need to detach from the rat race of chasing the unnecessary to pursue our dreams. That doesn't mean we need to forego all of our immediate wants and desires, but have a balanced outlook, understanding that sometimes with risk comes reward, and that reward could be substantially better than what we previously chased. Much of what people seek comes in the form of short-term gratification. Essentially, everything's replaceable, quickly becoming meaningless. So there's a need and a desire for more. To be self-fulfilled means we require less than the average person. And that's a good thing, because it allows us to be more level-headed, strategic, and invest in ourselves beyond the comprehension of many. So whilst one dream fades of pursuing the material, another ignites with passion and pride in self. And that's something that once started rarely fades. I understand I have suffered and will continue to suffer in stages throughout the pursuit of fulfilling my potential. However, I wouldn't feel comfortable returning to a previously uninspired version of myself, which shows me that any superficial and material loss weren't much to begin with. Anyway, that's 1,200 words. Like I said in my other video, ideally you want to get between that and a 2,000. So like I said there at the beginning of the video, like I might add to it yet. I really just wanted, what the whole point of the chapter was not about self-indulgence at all. It was more about the fact that what was weighing on my mind was just literally how hard life's been, even though I'm doing the best I can and in the most positive way I possibly can. And it's that blending of two worlds that's just so freaking hard. And I don't think anyone would truly understand it. You know, I've always done warehouse work before, like earlier in life, not even that long ago. You know, I was in a warehouse, I was doing forklift work. But I've always had intelligence. But over the past maybe 5 years, I've been sharing that knowledge, sharing those experiences, and I've uplifted myself and I've elevated beyond that version of me that existed then. But yet, until you have a breakthrough that can literally help pave the way for you to have the finances to be able to continue to do that, literally, effectively make money doing what you're good at in that sense, you're always going to be succumbing to the previous life, because we have to blend practicality with potential. Its practicality is paying the bills, which is where that comes from. Potential is investing in ourselves, and hopefully it helps give us opportunity in the future, but that is no guarantee. So ultimately, although we can't guarantee a financial breakthrough and the opportunity to truly invest in everything into this direction, you know, we can still invest in ourselves and we can still work as diligently as we can to give ourselves the opportunity. But even if we don't get the breakthrough in the sense that we see it as, you know, what's justice, at least we've evolved a better version of ourselves. And I think the alternative to that, to stagnate, to just give up and just waste life in the wrong direction, I think would just be wrong and sad. And that's kind of what I'm just trying to get across here. So again, like I said, there'll be layers added to it, but I'm trying not to lose the core message, because you could go on a tangent and it'll go on too much, you know? So like I say, it's not to be self-indulgent when I talk from personal experience, but it's to just reflect upon it. Show people that, look, hey, I'm going to show you what I go through, and I'm going to show you what my end goal is and why I do this and how it's improving me, how it's making me confident to be as confident as I am in very dark situations sometimes, you know? But there's no guarantee that the outcome is always what you're going to want it to be, though. So it's no point being naive. But surely to become our best version of self is probably the best thing one of the best things we could do in this lifetime, because that's a pure evolution. I think that's far superior than like having a fancy sports car and having all the fancy gadget, everything that everybody wants, you know. Nothing wrong with striving to have nice things, but I don't think we should just give up all potential to have those things. That would just be a complete waste of life. You know, there's a lot happening in social media at the moment where people just like posturing us, like they're acting like everyone acting like they're millionaires. It's just sad. All because they want status, and they're hoping by seeming that way, people will think of them that way, and then everything will just work out. And it's like, it's just so fake. Why not just build yourself up to get there naturally and organically, rather than posture as something you're not? Again, that's that authenticity. I think it's better to be yourself. I think, like I did in my other video, it's like your vulnerabilities, even what you perceive to be negative, sometimes it can be endearing, but I think also it can be something where people can relate to. So if you've had a hard life or you've made mistakes, you know, maybe you've had a really bad past, like it's maybe your own self-inflicted doing, or maybe it was inflicted by others. Either way, it's like that's fabric. That's what made you who you are today. So just like, don't shy away from that and hide and act like everything's perfect, because people see beyond that. They'll know you're lying, you know, and it's just, it doesn't make you relatable, and you can't trust that person. So I think by being transparent, being honest, I think it's the best thing anyone can do. And I just think too many people are just terrified of being vulnerable. I don't understand that. If you can literally exist as yourself and be confident in that, what can really come against you? Well, if someone wants to try and ridicule you, it's just, that says more about them than you, doesn't it? You know, just because again, a lot of people put the emphasis on the wrong things. It might be that you're poor, but you're strategic and you're building towards something. And while you're poor, maybe someone wants to laugh at you because you're poor. It's like, okay, I don't have a lot of money. What do I give a shit? Like, does that make me look like lack of confidence in myself? Do you know what I mean? That's not just trying to be confrontational and projecting. It's just literally saying, watch me in 5-10 years. Do you really think, like, I've already said that you can't guarantee success. But what I would say is, if you're projecting into the future based on like what you've been building, the momentum and the potential for what could happen in 5-10 years, you would argue that the potential is quite high. Now, who knows where you're going to be in 5-10 years? So what is there to laugh at? Is that funny? Because those that are sitting there laughing, and maybe they have money, or maybe their parents have, whatever level it is, it's like if they're just sitting around laughing at other people, it probably means they're not doing anything with their life. So what's their potential in 5-10 years? You know, so don't be too quick to laugh at someone who's investing in themselves, because that's probably the most stupid thing you could do. Because anything's possible when you truly believe in yourself and you put the time into, you know, improving your life. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too deep here. Like I said, when I work on this book now, it's just literally, I shouldn't really have shared that chapter, but, you know, I enjoyed writing it yesterday, and I'm going to be working diligently on this now over the next month or so. Let's just get it done, you know. Let's get another book out. Let's be proud of a 7th book, you know. It is a nice feeling when they're finished. So that's literally me. There will be gaming stuff as well, so it's not like I'm just vanishing off the face of the earth. But it's just when it's go time to work, I'm going to be working on the book instead of on camera. That's literally what that is. So if I've got something meaningful to say, it's going to be typed. It won't be me talking on camera anymore for a while. I don't know when back. But if you see me on camera again, it's me taking breaks in the interim in between any random moment. Could be late at night, could be any other time. It's just when I feel like playing a specific game and I feel like sharing it, yeah, we do that. It's not impeding on the other work because that was done differently. You know, you don't just work on it all day, every day, burn yourself out. It's unnecessary. You know, as long as you're just disciplined, you do it a certain thing, you get a certain amount done, you've got your goals achieved, and you're on course. It's a, you know, I think too many people think that you've always got to just be doing something. You know, you don't. You just got to be disciplined and focused. You make sure you get enough done, and then you can relax, you can chill out, you can do all the things you want to do. But again, like I said in another video, if I keep doing everything on camera, I'm not going to work on the book. If we actually look at if you look towards legacy, like the videos, I love the videos. Like I do. I like what I do, but it's more likely people, if anyone's going to talk about me in the future, it's more likely they're going to have a book in their hand and they're just going to be referencing maybe specific chapters or quoting something I've said there. Well, again, there might be something in the videos, but I think it's going to be a lot harder to pinpoint specific moments in a video and remember it. Like it might be like, that was great, but I can't remember where the hell that was or what video it was now. But a book's far easier, isn't it? Like page so-and-so, you know. So I think it's just important I keep at that as well. So there's different levels to me. Anyway, hopefully that's been interesting to people. Like I said, I mean, people have their own opinion of what a good chapter is, whether they like something. But like I said in my previous video, I would never release something if I wasn't proud of it. I didn't think it's good enough. And I certainly wouldn't have read that chapter out loud if I didn't think it was worthy of being read out loud. So, you know, people are entitled to their opinions, of course. If someone doesn't like something, it's entirely their opinion, but it doesn't change my perspective. So, because we're all entitled to opinions. Anyway, like I say, what I do is to try to help open people's minds and try to get people healing and also inspire others to go after their dreams and goals, you know. Come across a few people who have been upon my path who want to share their journey, or they've had an inkling to do it, but they've never really stepped up to do it. And I just, if anything, it's just me talking about it, hopefully gives them the impetus just to give it a go, you know. You don't have to start writing with the pressure of, oh, it's got to be released and it's going to be all this eyes. Just do it for you. It could literally just be a book or a journal for you. And if you think it's worth sharing with a family member or passing down to the next generation, then let it be that. If you think if you really feel called about it and passion to release it publicly, then by all means. But I've already spoke about that in the other video. That takes a lot of courage to put things in the public domain, in my opinion. Like, you know, because you do leave yourself open to criticism, so you've got to be prepared to handle it. You can never go through life expecting everyone to agree with you. So can you take the fact that it's not even that you have to take people just like attacking you for whatever reason. I mean, it's up to you if you want to listen. But it's like, are you strong enough to let it just like wash over you? Do you know what I mean? Like it's just noise. Not to be rude, it's just noise. It doesn't affect my ability to keep pushing forward and do what I think is important. So if others can have that similar mindset, then you can keep working. Otherwise, you'll just stop every time someone says something bad. And people say things all the time, good, bad, and like, what's their agenda, what they're coming from, what's their experiences, what's their bias. There's so many layers to it, and it's just, what is their intelligence? It's like, you whittle it down, you realize we're all flawed. Everyone has a flaw. And we give too much importance to people who maybe if their opinion isn't that significant based on factors. Now, I'm not saying that in every case, but again, there's biases, there's agendas, there's all sorts. So, yeah, there's reasons. It's not always going to be that your work wasn't particularly good enough. It might just be that there's a reason that someone would say so. Again, not the only answer there. I'm not trying to sort of like be ignorant to other people's opinions. It's just, again, I'm trying to inspire people to say, look, don't let it beat you down. For every negative, there'll be potentially someone positive. People tend to be negative more than positive in public in terms of like expressing themselves. So internally, privately, someone may be thinking, I love that, or I really like that person, or I'm attracted to the way they speak, the way they deliver, they're intelligent. Could be any of those things, but they don't say it to you. So you wouldn't know that. All you would know is the negative that keeps coming. And it's like, you just got to understand there are going to be positive influences and people maybe just haven't said anything. So what I wouldn't want is someone just to lose hope. Wouldn't want someone to just give up on a dream. Because I think what you've got to do is start positioning yourself in a different way. Understanding that you are the main character in your life. So don't let anyone crush a dream. Don't let anyone dissuade you from believing in yourself. Yeah. So yeah, I just really just want people to be as strong as I am in like themselves. I want everybody to be like that. You know, and it just starts with educating, I think, and speaking up and sharing potentially our stories. But hopefully it will encourage other people. I'd love to hear that a load of other people just like wrote. Don't matter how you told your story. It doesn't have to be written. But you've told your story. You've maybe shared some intimate moments. Doesn't it, like you know personal moments that maybe you're scared to reveal before. You know, that'd be inspiring, wouldn't it? That'd be nice to hear because I think we can have a bigger impact on people than we realise. Anyway, I'm not going to digress. I'm not going to go too far on a tangent here. I just wanted to share that chapter, but hopefully hopefully people enjoyed it.